everyone. Good to see you. Welcome back to Marketing, Art, and Science, the webcast podcast, where I, Lisa Martin, sit down with CMOs regularly and we talk about the artistry, the science of marketing, and how these CMOs are pulling those levers or flexing those muscles to convert prospects to loyal customers. I'm so pleased to welcome today's guest, my longtime friend and colleague, Evanna, the EMEA CMO of UiPath. Evanna, it's so great to see you.
It's so good to be here. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. And I'm excited for the audience to learn from you. Let's go ahead and kick off with your background. You and I go way back 10 plus years or so to our Tibco marketing days. Talk to the audience about your ascent to the level of CMO for EMEA for UiPath.
Yeah. I started my career in journalism, funnily enough. So kind of an unusual, unusual entry into marketing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So I worked in radio and TV for a number of years. And I entered marketing kind of through public relations. So I had studied PR as part of my journalism master's, and I moved into marketing that way, worked in comms for a number of years, and then started to broaden my remit a bit. Moved into field marketing, then account-based marketing was added on, and then digital marketing, and then a little bit of product marketing. And then I moved into BDR management as well. And so kind of throughout the career, I suppose my career now spans 20 years. Makes me feel old to say that.
I know, right?
Throughout the career, I've kind of touched on all aspects of marketing. It was kind of an unusual route to marketing, but an enjoyable one nonetheless.
I love that. Well, it gives you such fresh perspective, especially from a communications standpoint. You know what the mainstream media is looking for. And that's always a hard one because we're so used to talking with audiences and taking very technical information and distilling it down to digestible components. And when you're doing TV and radio, it's got to be even more so. Get the audience a little bit of overview. If anyone's not familiar with UiPath, I know that you guys are delivering AI for the real world enterprise, and we can't go a day without talking about AI. Tell us about UiPath and how does it deliver on that?
Yeah, so we kind of grew up in what's called the era of robotic process automation, which is RPA. And that really was all about automating back-end mundane processes. And, we still build on that every day. It's still our foundation. We're now moving into, more intelligent AI, if you will, looking at things like agentic AI, which is kind of the next big thing that's on the horizon. But primarily, if I was to put it really simply, we help organizations to be more efficient, to enable their people to be more efficient and focus on the more strategic, more creative tasks, rather than having to be bowled down by, documents and, extracting information from documents or, invoicing in the realm of finance is a very complex thing and very time consuming, but very mundane for the most part. So it's taking the mundane out of work and allowing humans to flourish and focus on what's more important.
I love that. And everyone wants that. No one wants to be bogged down with the mundane task that you're checking off checklists. They really want to be able to get creative and strategic for the most part. Love that. Right. Let's dig in now to the MarTech stack. So I always love talking with CMOs like you about MarTech in action and how it's taking someone from a prospect who's out there doing their own research on UiPath and automation to a loyal advocate customer. So give us a little kind of a high level overview of the marketing technology stack at UiPath and what it's doing to convert those prospects to advocates.
Yeah, I would probably say our tech stack is a little bit too comprehensive. We probably could look at streamlining a little bit, but we do definitely have a tool for almost everything. And, some of those tools are better than others, but I would say a lot of our tools are focused on, primarily the top of the funnel initially. How do we get those prospects engaged? Those people who are doing their own research who haven't really reached out to UiPath as yet. We call that the dark funnel. Like, how do you get UiPath in front of people who are just educating themselves early on in their buying cycle? How do you engage them to a point where they will want to learn more later on when they are ready to buy? And there's so many tools out there that can help you to do that in a really good way. I mean, there's one tool that I love, which is 6 Sense, which really helps to increase that level of engagement. It helps us to really target different buying groups, and really get to the decision makers within those buying groups, and ensuring that they're aware throughout their buying cycle. And I think, a lot of the tech out there today is really helping us to be much more intelligent around the type of content that we place in front of prospective buyers right throughout their journey, because the type of content you want to position, very early on in the journey is very different from the type of content you want to position in the middle or at the bottom of the funnel. So, getting the right content in front of the right audience at the right time, I think is hugely important. That's what it's all about. And so figuring out what tools can help us to do that, I think it's really helped us to refine our demand generation activities to become a whole lot more personalized in how we're reaching out to people, so that we're putting messages out there that are resonating with the right audiences. And, it's always necessary to do that at the right time. And, I think that there's so many tools, obviously all the data analytics tools, Marketo is our marketing automation tool. We've got tools for A/B testing, SEO, social, all of those tools. I think it's about how you use them, to make sure that you're positioning your message in the right way to the right audience. And that's a difficult thing to do, but I think marketing has become so different now with AI infused into it that we're becoming, I think, a little bit more, focused on our buyer and on a little bit more customer centric, which we need to be, and really getting to understand our customers. This spray and pray effect is long gone. I mean, thank God, long gone.
It sure is, right? Yes.
You have to get targeted to a particular type of persona. And that's the kind of marketing I love. That's the marketing that excites me, because there's an art and a craft to that, if you will. You mentioned, the science behind it. There is a huge amount of science now behind how you do marketing effectively. And I think it's hugely exciting.
I love that. It's one of my favorite things as a former life sciences person back in the day before I got into tech. And we've seen marketing evolve so much the last 10 years into being so scientific and that's why we created this show, to really understand how those two are coming together and how it changes. Because you talked about a great deal about the personalization element, the right content, the right message, the right time, the right person. We all expect that in our consumer lives, which blend into our business lives, right? We just expect we're going to get delivered the right content, that I'm looking for this right now. Don't show me something similar that I bought yesterday or last year. I want you to know me in a non-creepy way and deliver messages, content, offers, products, services that are relevant to what I'm looking for right now. And I love how you talked about really pulling the levers. You mentioned 6 Sense. A lot of my CMOs on the show talk about 6 Sense and how great it is for doing just that. But it's so incredibly important to be able to flex those AI muscles. We'll talk about that in a little bit too, as well as the artistry. So how do you blend the two, or pull those levers of the science piece and the art piece? And what does each one mean to you and to UiPath?
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting one, because, it's almost about getting the fusion of the art and the science right. And, I always think of that left brain, right brain analogy. If you just have all creative marketers, you're going to have great content, but you won't know who to target, and you definitely won't know how to get to them in a very personalized way. And similarly, if you just have those analytic type marketers, you won't have any content that's going to resonate, but you'll surely know who to go after. But with what? So, getting that mix of the art and the science right is critical in marketing now. And, building teams, you have to think about that. You have to think about the creative folks as well as those analytical folks, and then how you bring the two together. And, it can be difficult, because if you are leaning too heavy on one side versus the other, your marketing is not going to be as effective as you want it to be. But when you get it right, that's when the real magic happens, and I just love sometimes when you do see the fusion, come together in the right way, the creativity and the results that you can get from that. I mean, it really is like watching magic happen, when you see, the campaigns going out and the impact that they're having ultimately on pipeline and revenue, because, that's the ultimate success of marketing. But, when it does happen in the right way, it really is phenomenal to watch.
It is magic, isn't it? It's so fun to see all of those levers being ticked in the right direction. Talk a little bit about the impact, because you just said it. It's all about, at the end of the day, from a marketing perspective, to influence pipeline and impact revenue. How are you guys at UiPath doing that, leveraging the technology, the art, and the science?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, it's about mapping out the buyer journey and then figuring out where the tech can help you. Right. So, and I think it's also understanding who you want to go after, right? Who are your target audiences? And that may be different for different product lines that you have, within your platform. But really understanding that at the outset, I think, is most important. And then, as I said, figuring out where the tech is really going to help you to do more. The tech should complement your overall strategy. It isn't the strategy in itself, and I think some marketers become a little bit too reliant on the tech. But I think if you can get the tech right and understand what the tech can do for you throughout that buyer journey, I think that's when you'll start to see impact, and I think we thought long and hard about, I mentioned Sixth Sense as a tool, but again, we were very clear on who we were going after. We know our buying groups very, very clearly. And what we really wanted to do was to track that level of engagement across those buying groups and then watch how we improve that over time, or if it's disimproving, obviously we need to take, action to fix that. But, I think it's been quite interesting that, when you integrate advanced tools like such as marketing automation, obviously the CRM and data analytic platforms. And, I think it really helps to streamline your demand generation efforts and your nurturing efforts so that you become much more targeted. And then you can achieve higher quality leads that you're passing over to your business development team then to qualify. And then you see greater efficiency through the funnel. Your pipeline is greater. That pipeline is created a little bit faster. You're improving win rates. You're improving the time to value. And these are all the things that we're using our marketing tools to measure. What are we doing to improve overall pipe creation, pipe acceleration? How are we helping to improve those win rates, reduce the buying cycle, et cetera? These are things that we're measuring. And, there's fantastic data automation tools to help us to do that. And, I think when that all comes together, you really can show the value that marketing brings to a business and the impact that it has, ultimately on revenue over time. But I think once you can measure that and demonstrate that to the business, I think that's when you really begin to see, the return on investment of, not only the tools that you're using, but, the whole marketing organization of a company.
Really elevating it up to C-suite to be, this is a critical business partner for us across sales, finance, operations, you name it. Marketing is a really integral cog in this well-oiled machine that is UiPath. And you've done a great job of articulating how you do that and why it's so important.
Absolutely. I think there's always a bit of conflict between, sales and marketing sometimes, who's generating the pipeline, where is the pipeline coming from? But I think, if you have the right tools in your tech stack and you can align, from the top down in an organization about how you're going to measure that, and how you're going to report on that on a regular basis, I think that's when you can really start to build that partnership that you just spoke about. And that's when marketing really gets the seat at the table. Right. Because, that is so merited because, we bring in a significant portion of pipeline. We influence a significant portion of pipeline that, obviously results in a significant portion of revenue. And so really, understanding the art and the science of marketing is only going to make us more effective and, hopefully contribute to more pipeline and more revenue in the future.
And better partners with sales. How has the MarTech stack that you've implemented, that you've talked about, it sounds like you've got great alignment with sales. How has it influenced and maybe helped improve that sales relationship? Because they probably now have visibility into data and their customers, prospects and customers that they didn't have before, which is huge.
And that's the bottom line. A salesperson really thinks about how can marketing help me, and, when you're using certain tools that help them to understand how an account is engaging, who's engaging, what they're looking at, getting some sense of their intent to buy. I mean, this type of data is gold for a salesperson that automatically brings marketing closer to sales. And then I think helping them to understand the way we measure success in marketing, and then being very transparent about that, and, there has to be transparency in the numbers, but once you start to, cloud over or, you start to, increase the marketing contribution beyond what it actually is, you're just doing a major disservice to marketing. You're killing relationship between sales and marketing, and you're losing credibility. So the transparency, the alignment, all of that has to be there, and the trust has to be there as well. And, I think that's when marketing truly becomes a partner rather than just a service, that helps salespeople do their job. They become a true partner for sales, and that's when they get that seat at the table that I referred to earlier.
And when you mentioned trust, I was thinking that the whole last few minutes, that is currency these days. Yes. Trust between a brand and prospects, a brand and its existing customers, sales, marketing, key functions. It is absolutely table stakes for solid relationships. And ultimately, the impact on the UiPath brand that marketing wants to deliver. So how does the tech stack, the relationships that you put in place within marketing and within other key partners in the organization, how has it influenced UiPath's brand?
Oh, I think it's influenced the brand quite a bit. And, I think you touched on a really important point. And I think it's a kind of a new development in marketing, this whole notion of truth, always people have this picture of marketing as, it's a version of the truth, it's a verbose, it's, exaggerated. I think we have to get back to the truth, and really reinforcing, the true, differentiation of a product, because, all you're going to lead to in the long run is a disappointed customer, so you have to think of long run, the impact it's going to have on your business, on your customers, on their satisfaction levels. If you oversell, what the company does. So, I think a level of truth and getting back to honesty in marketing, I think is a really important kind of movement, if you will, within marketing. And I think it's only a good thing. There's so much fake news out there. There's so much, verboseness that you have to just, say it as it is, obviously in a very engaging way, over multiple different channels. But, ultimately for me, it's about the personalization of the message, the truth, and reinforcing the truth. And knowing your customer, knowing what they want, and then, giving them what they want when they most need it. That's when, marketing really shines. That's when, you're having an impact, a real impact on the business.
That truth is absolutely essential. And it's a great way to differentiate a brand as well. You mentioned fake news, and it's out there and it proliferates faster than we can even comprehend, faster than we can identify and stop it. And so for brands to be truthful with their customers is just no longer a nice to have. It's something that every brand needs to implement. Let's move into kind of our third topic, and that's, let's look at, we talked about AI briefly, emerging technologies. Help us understand some of the practical applications of AI at UiPath in marketing within the technologies that you're selling as well.
Yeah. We actually use our own technology in marketing. It's really quite amazing. We have products called Document Understanding and Comms Mining. Really what Document Understanding does is it reads large amounts of documents and pulls out, important information so that you don't have to go through all of that detail. So, again, it's the kind of prompts that you give it, what is it that you want from that document? But it saves my team so much time in using these types of tools. Comms mining, helps to go through emails, looking for certain things. It can summarize, a number of emails after a holiday and highlight, what are the key things you need to focus on? Where do you need to prioritize, of those 350 emails that you missed while you were on vacation? So, we are using our own technology a great deal in marketing, and it is making our lives a whole lot easier. But I think, the future and where we can go, even where our product is going now, with this whole notion of agentic AI and using agents, that work together with robots and humans, I think the possibilities are endless. And I think, what that will do for marketing in the future, I think it's exciting and scary, honestly, all at the same time. But, anything that takes away mundane work for me, I'll take it all day long.
I hear you exactly, and I love stories of drinking your own champagne. People always ask me why I say that, because you know how much I love dogs. You've known me a long time, eating your own dog food. I'm like, champagne just has like pinky out kind of flair, so I like that. When you if we peel back kind of the layers of marketing, what are some of the areas in which Gen AI is really helping you guys move that efficiency meter? And I think of like customer data analysis, customer journey orchestration, personalized content creation. What are some of those key areas and use cases that you're really seeing great results?
Yeah, I think one of the areas that I love is, if we create video content, because, everybody talks about text, text-based content and what you can do, AI can do with text. But I think the opportunities in the world of video and dynamic content, I think, is really exciting. The ability to actually create a video, and then, the video might be 20 minutes long, and then to, put an input to the tool to say, okay, now give me a 30-second video that's good for LinkedIn, and give me, a 2-minute that's good for, YouTube, or, and it will literally spit back out what you want with very little work on anyone's side. And, there's time saving in that. There's massive cost savings,
Yes.
We work with agencies to create each version of that video, and the time it creates for them to write the script and then create it and shoot it and all this sort of stuff. I mean, you can actually get multiple outputs from one piece of content. And, what I think is really fantastic is that if you have one hero piece of content, it might be a white paper, for example. From that, you can bring to life any amount of content, from emails that you'll send to your customers, short videos, scripts that you'll create. And you can even use certain tools to create the video, that'll create an avatar of you using your own voice. It's phenomenal, the possibilities, and I think for marketing, it's only going to make things obviously move a whole lot faster. I think it'll make marketing very, very exciting, but also I think very impactful, even more impactful than it is today, because you will, the ability to know what your customer wants before they almost know it themselves. I think that's the sort of scary part, but also the exciting part, because the level of personalization there is, through the roof. So, I think there's just endless possibilities with AI. It is a little bit scary. You need to have those guardrails, the governance, the ethics around all of it has to be in place. But I think, the possibilities, they are really exciting for me when I think about it, and I hope I'm around to see, and I'm still working in marketing, to see it come to fruition, because I think it's beyond our wildest dreams.
It really is. There's so much we don't, what fascinates me is there's questions we don't even know we have yet that it probably can already answer. It's just the whole crystal ball element of it is fascinating. And also working on the personalization piece, because I mentioned in our consumer lives, we just expect that. We expect that brands will know us, anticipate, if I bought a tent, anticipate what I might want next. So show me more tents.
Exactly.
Show me camping chairs. Show me coolers. Yes, relevant content.
You do that in the business world. I mean, the possibilities are phenomenal, to say, well, you bought this product, but, instead of having a salesperson to think about, well, now, they've used this product for this amount of time, they might be ready for this, the technology will do all that for us, and they will preempt and predict what it is that we want to do next. And, it's kind of scary what that means for marketing in the future, but also very exciting, as I said.
Absolutely. I share your enthusiasm and your excitement for it. I don't know about you. I always feel like being in technology, especially as a marketer, we have an opportunity to help the masses understand better all of the positive applications of AI that are already extant that they might not be aware of, because the mass media is so focused on the fake news and harm. And we see those stories get elevated more so than the positive stories. Do you feel kind of like a sense of responsibility there in terms of, let us help spread the word on all the good AI is already doing?
Absolutely. There's a lot of scaremongering, I think, around AI and, AI is going to replace humans and what will humans do and all of this. I don't think there's a point in the near future where, AI will fully replace humans. I think it'll free humans up to do so much more, and to really focus on things that need human focus, and, put all that other stuff to a robot or an agent or whatever. But, I think, we need to really be careful about, putting guardrails around things. I think the governance around AI is something that we, have to figure out, not only as UiPath, but right across the world. It affects everybody, and I think the governance and the ethics piece, I think they're pieces that we really need to get on top of. But, honestly, I think, the excitement for me surpasses any negatives. I think it's going to be a really fun world, when AI and agentic AI and all these, future iterations of AI kick into place. I think it's just going to be, very, very fast moving, but very fun indeed.
Yes. I think so too. I share your excitement about that, and I see a lot of positive aspects. When I talk to the mainstream media like Schwab Network, there's there's so much investment going on in AI. We talk about the NVIDIAs and the Magnificent Seven, and investors are like, where is the ROI in this? But monetizing AI is challenging. Are we not there yet? Because a lot of what we're seeing when I talk to marketers is efficiency gains, which, to your point earlier, that can contribute to cost savings. But do you feel any sort of pressure to start monetizing the investment in AI?
Oh, yeah. I mean, companies are investing so much in AI. Then the obvious next thing is, okay, show me the ROI before we keep investing at this rate. So I think there's a massive pressure coming. But, I think when we speak to a lot of our customers, we tend to assume they're much further along on their AI journey than they are. We tend to assume they've got it figured out. But the issue is they don't. Many are trying to figure out what their AI strategy for the future should be. And many of these companies are turning to us to say, well, what should I be thinking of? Is there something I'm missing here? Am I behind the curve? And everybody's assuming everybody else is way further ahead than they are. But the truth of the matter is a lot of companies are really only starting their AI journey, and they're onboarding, into AI, quite slowly and surely. But they have to your point, be able to show ROI for the level of investments that they're making. And that's where, it becomes a boardroom issue. How much are we investing in AI? What's the return, etc. But, I think we're very early stage in adoption of the AI across companies. And that real ROI is still yet to be shown, to be frank, in a lot of cases.
Absolutely. Well, so many companies are still in the pilot phases, and you bring up a great point about everyone. You go to any tech event, which you and I go to all the time, and AI is part of the theme. It's infused in the keynote. It's infused into every conversation that we have on our show. And the kind of the scare tactic there is from senior leaders. If you're not investing in AI, you're already behind. And so there's that. Oh my gosh, what are we doing? What are we not doing? But what we see, what you get to see, and I get to see as well, is what's the reality right now? Is it cart before the horse in terms of monetization? I think so. I think we have to keep moving forward and getting these quick wins, these efficiency gains, which companies can then, whether it's through the voice of the customer or whatnot, start showing the value it's delivering back to the business. I do believe we'll get there, but I think it's a little early innings if we were to use an American baseball reference.
I completely agree with you. We're really only at the starting phase, even though people think we're much further ahead. We aren't. Not in different, in enterprise adoption of AI. I think it's still early days.
It is. Formula One lap one. I'll give you a better EMEA reference there. Last question for you. We love to wrap the show, Evanna, with our fail to fab segment, which is just really, I always say failure is not a bad F word. All the viewers and those tuning in go, she says that every show. It's true. But it is true. It's a learning opportunity. Talk to us about whether it was a marketing initiative or a business initiative that wasn't going according to plan, that you marketing stepped in and really converted that to a favorable.
Yeah, I mean, I remember once being at a previous company. It was not UiPath, but we had a significant kind of setback in a highly anticipated product launch. There were unexpected technical issues, to put it mildly, and that resulted in really negative customer feedback. So this had the potential to, affect our brand reputation. But instead of sort of succumbing to the failure, we decided to sort of use a blend of technology and strategic marketing to try and turn it around. And that's exactly what we did. So we used actually social listening to kind of closely monitor what the customers were saying about the glitches and the product itself. And we fed those pain points back to the tech team, in real time. And then we used social media and email to keep our customers up to date on how we were fixing this in a short time frame. And then, we then actually targeted, we used actually data analytics to segment our customer base, to really identify the most loyal customers who had been affected by this. And then we reached out to them to give them early access to the revamped product. We gave them discounts, etc. And we got their feedback real time, which really kind of helped to, make sure that we weren't sort of alienating them, that we were helping to regain their trust. And the other thing we did was we used Marketo to nurture those that had shown initial interest in the new product, but hadn't converted because of the technical glitches. We actually using, case studies and positive, customer feedback over time, we were actually able to convert quite a few of those. So I think what actually, turned out to be a ridiculous nightmare, a failure, turned into a kind of fab and favorable, marketing initiative over time, because it demonstrated the ability to leverage technology together with strategic marketing, to enable to turn it around. And then actually, in the long run, they became more loyal customers because they liked the openness, the open way in which we dealt with what was, turning out to be a failure at the beginning. But, we salvaged it in the end. Thank goodness.
Transparency. That's a beautiful example of the blend of art and science coming together to convert something that had sudden hiccups that customers were really upset about into something that was very favorable and fabulous. Evanna, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It's always great to talk to you, but I love how much you leaned into the theme of the show. I think the audience is going to learn a ton from what you shared and your examples. We thank you so much for your time.
Oh, my pleasure.
We want to thank you for watching this latest episode of Marketing, Art, and Science. I'm CMO advisor Lisa Martin for Evanna Cairns. We'll see you on the next show.